So up until this point, we've been adding all of our markup into this home.php file, which is great. It works, but it is getting kind of hard to maintain and, keep legible. So that's where snippets kind of enter. The snippets folder is just kind of a module, think modularly. So if you can just include it everywhere, just like you would basically normal PHP, but this does it in a fancier way just by using a snippet here, just like this. So to create one, you basically create the file name and include it. So hero background, for instance, like we have here, .php. We'll copy this code in this image variable here. Got that. Our syntax for some reasons on Twig, probably because I built my site on that. Set PHP, there we go. So now we can hopefully delete that and just do PHP snippet home, or what do we call it, hero background. Interesting. Okay. Well, for now, I'm gonna just backtrack and forget about that. It still works without it, so that's fine. But it's just kind of, that's a downer. But for grins, I will go ahead and delete that just so it's not there by mistake. Darn! I thought that would be easier than it is. Apparently, there's something I'm missing, but I'll figure that out. Not let you guys have to deal with it. So let's go ahead and create our next section. I think we'll call this process. So if we look at our design, we want something that is repeatable because we need this content here. And consider them like posts, I would say, but we'll use a method. There's a couple ways we could go about it, and I've got pages and documentation saved here. There's one that is called structure, and it's a specific field type that we can have that basically adds UI like this. And if you think of it, it's just like adding a new post, and you can continuously add 1, add 2, add 3, add 4. That way works. Built into the CMS is an actual page thing we can add. We just need to declare that on the blueprint. So let's do, I think I'm going to go with that route and see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll revert back to the structure one. So let's do that. So the first thing I want to do is have pages to be true here. Then we get this, and it says pages and subpages, and that's fine, but we basically want to consider them like posts, if you think about it. So each of those process blocks will actually be its own little post. We still need to add these fields though, so I'm going to add those currently to our CMS portion here. And like the last one, I will add a what's it called, headline. We're going to call this process there we go. And we want to add process title. Put a space there. We'll do label. Type will be text. And we want process subhead. Same thing almost, so process subheading. type will be, we'll make this a text area, and I'll save that for now. So we've got those fields. What else do we need? We need that contact button on the right. So let's add that. We call it process CTA. So we'll do contact button text. I'll put text up here too. And I think you can do like underscores here, and that's fine. I'm just doing it. It's kind of hard to read, I know, but I'm just doing it without anything. So it's up to you if you want to do that. This will be text. So process CTA link, and this will be label contact button link. Might just do CTA here because she might not want it to be called contact button. And what was that kind? Type would be page. And for these again, I'm going to do width and do just a half. There we go. It should show up like that. And this one will be contact, I think. Button text. Contact me. Might as well add required on these. Basically all of these. This one I guess we don't need. I will have that one there. So we should see those come through. Right there, there, cool. So let's just add that content real quick. Really want to, I actually do need to create a template first though, so let's do that. Template and call it process.php. And I'm trying to think, I have the starter package here. Since I'm still sort of new, I'm trying to see how new to this CMS. I'm just trying to see how it works here. I think so. Maybe we don't want to go this route. You know what? I don't think we will. This stuff false again, and that should go away. Cool. And we want this area to be what is known as structure. So let's go ahead and add that, and we'll do. Yeah, so we'll call this processes or process. We've already got that process module. Label process modules, I guess. And then type will be structure. I think style is table. I've used this once before. I don't think I'm going to do the table style though. I want it to look kind of like it does on the front end. But we can do, I guess, modal size. It does use modals when you add new stuff, and that's kind of We do need to add fields, of course. They're basically, think of this as like, okay, you're adding one of these things and it's a global one, but then below it you add more. So it's like the repeater field in advanced custom fields, if you're used to that. So this one will be, I don't know, process title, or let's just say title, and label, and type is text. Then we could do content, label, process. Let's just make it pretty generic. Type is text area. And I guess I can programmatically add the numbers from our design. I could probably even do that with CSS, to be honest. I think I might try that. I know there's a way. I've done it before. I just cannot remember how I've done it. So I might have to do a Google search. Also notice that there is a texture background here, so that's something to worry about. Okay, so let's start with that and see what it gives us. So here's that structure thing. And you can add one and the content there. I'm gonna go ahead and not make that small though. There we go. It did a weird thing though, so let me just save this and then do this. Okay. So at this stage, we can go through and add all this junk. Alright guys, we have these added. I tried to mess with the width of these so they float left and right, like we've got this stuff going on up here. I don't think it's a feature though, so if you just, I don't know if you saw me fast forward through it or if I just cut it out of the video, I'm not sure, but if I throw a width in here, it does the whole thing, and then if I try to do it below here, I think it's just gonna kind of break stuff too. Yeah, it doesn't even register there. So I think we're shit out of luck there as far as getting that stuff to render the way we want, but it is working. We could also do it all completely, style it as a table as well if we don't want to have this little module kind of look. So then it looks like that, which honestly, it doesn't look too bad. I guess for the sake of screen or scrolling, this works for me. A little clunky, but hey, we'll run with it. Okay, so let's actually work on getting that data out on the page now. So we've got what we need is there. We just need to actually loop through. So basic for each loop is in order, and we will go ahead and do that. And according to the documentation, you would do it like this. This is what they're using, and we gotta end up with colon. So we need to call it by its name, which I should close that. In this case, it is process modules. So we're gonna change this addresses one to that. We're gonna get rid of this sorting because I'm gonna just let Alyssa sort it manually. You can drag and drop that stuff, which is pretty sweet. Like that. I'm gonna leave it though. So that's set, and then we need to, of course, in the for each. And then inside we can loop through our content. So we'll maybe do a h3 for the heading, or the title, I should say. And then I actually need to pass it as something, actually. Yeah, so as whatever. So let's do as process. And then we can just echo stuff out, which is pretty nifty. So we could just do echo process HTML. or actually we need to call what it is. So in this case, title. And just like HTML. Shorthand, you could go like this. Make it a little more clean. I don't know if browsers care about that or not. I don't know. So then we get all of our titles. So that's pretty sick. Okay, so then let's do, let's call this process content. I'm gonna give this a class process title. And we will want to use our grid here, so I'm going to do a call for call XS12. So on regular desktop screens, it will be in a column of 3 based on a 12 column grid. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then on mobile, it will go full width, but we do need to add our row class preceding that. So it does this correctly. These should group up and do what we want. There we go. And then I just noticed we actually need to based on our design, we actually want to put that row after the fact. So that stuff will want to be in its own little row. And then we could call it like process loop. That'll be outside of the foreach. And a smart thing to do, which I'm not really doing, is to check first that make sure these things exist in the data panel. You can do that in a variety of ways, but it's pretty easy. Like if is set is kind of one of them. But for now, I'm kind of making this simple just so you can follow along and not have to worry about anything. But that's something you might think of if you're turning this over to someone who could enter data or not want to have requirements on the data that they enter, kind of thing. It's just kind of intuitive programming in that, right? So we need a containing element, so I'm gonna actually put container around this because our section, I noticed we have a textured background and I need to add that full width, so we actually need interior divs to make up for that. This looks kind of nasty, but this should do the trick though. So there's that. And then the content we can do in a similar way. I'm gonna go ahead and make these a little more legible for y'all. So we'll do process, referencing our loop as process here. And we will call, what was it, content. And I'll do this. And this I'm gonna do Kirby text, just in the event that there's actual bold text or something being rendered. We don't need that. There we go. I like it. Okay, so that was like the hard part, honestly, of this whole part. So from here on out, I keep going to that screen. From here on out, we can just style this stuff and make it look like our design. So I will actually need to add a CSS counter to this. That's what I'm gonna work on first. I know CSS counter, increment. There's a certain way to do this. I think Chris might have told me how. Yeah. Don't really know if this is the right way to go about it. So I'm gonna just put process counter. And then we'll go into the section itself. which we need to actually make. So let's add that. We'll do process CSS, and we need to include that or import it. Okay, so at this stage we can just do this and then add that. Actually, we want this on our actual process I already used that, so let's do process module. Counter reset, and before, or we're going to do and after counter content counter and process counter. So we need to actually set this to position relative. This will be absolute. And bottom, I don't know, 10, right, 10. Font size is like pretty huge. Font family will be like Helvetic, Arial, Sans Serif for now. We'll see if this did anything. It's doing F. What the hell is that? Okay. So I guess it's the wrapper that needs the counter reset. So I don't know why I thought body would. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go to process itself. Try this. See if that does it. Nope. Well, damn. Counter reset, counter increment, process counter. Content. Counter, process counter. Okay, that time it's working. I'm trying to figure out what this F is though. F. Oh, I just have it in the damn file. Yeah, okay. I got it. Cool. Okay. So we got it working. Cool. Let's this is gonna have to be positioned a certain way, and we're gonna have to figure this all out a nice way. We will do so here once I get the styles in order. Okay, so that's the hard part. Let's get these going. Quite a bit of padding, some box shadow. So that's how you increment in CSS. If you didn't know, it's pretty cool. It's useful when you're like creating stuff. If you work in like a RESTful environment where you create new posts and stuff like that, and you want to number them in some way, like a forum or something, it's kind of neat. Round white padding. I don't know, one rim for now. Let's go back to this. Let's lose this. Okay, I did add that class to the actual grid item. Sadly, I want to add it inside of that. So let's call it here yet another div. And that's the end of that module. That one. that. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that should give it a little more leeway there. We can set a definitive height too to make sure they're all uniform, but I think we also need to do a few things first. So let's do the basics. Let's get the process module, the process title. I'm going to do module here. Nope. There we go. And process module title, process module content. Okay, so this is going to be color, brand, primary. Font size, pretty massive, like 2 rims or something. Not that big. Sort of that big. Probably 1.5, 1.6. Let's go with that for now. And we actually want more padding than this. Yep. And this actual process module or process container needs padding itself, like so. We still need to add the actual top content too, but I'll do that now actually. Let's do that. So our container is there. So we'll want to add that here. Let's just do process intro. Okay, and here we'll do page, what was it here? Process title. Yeah. And this one is process intro, or is subheading, I think. This one, just for fun, I'll do this again. I might get an error here. I think I spelled that wrong. Subhead, okay. There we go. And I think we'll want this to be a row. Inside this, we want this to be on the left side, so column medium, maybe 10. And below that, we'll do column medium like 2, column access 12. Good little space in between here, and indent this. Okay. This is just our button, so we actually want to do that. And button secondary. CTA text, process CTA link. Yeah, no, this should be, yeah, that's right. And then this should be the link. Nice. Our style's almost where we want it. We could also make this text line right. I should make some utility classes for that, I think. I'll probably just do that as a global style. Okay, and in here I'll just do like a text center, text align center, text right, text align right, text left. I don't know why you use this, text line left. Okay, and I think if I just add this to there we go. You never know when you need those. It's good to have. All right, so the content, that's for the blocks. So we need this for the intro. So let's do that. And got those. Let's see what size we're looking at. Basically the same as what was up on the header. What do we use here? 3M. Now here's where I could probably make a style or just make the H1s that big, but we'll see how much I reuse that. Actually, I will just do that. So I'm going to go to typography. Just do like big title. And we'll just go back to this, go back to home. Shouldn't change, okay. And I can do that on our homepage too. Hero content, hero heading. It's gonna go down, but I'm gonna go back to the heading and add big title. There we go. Okay. Refactoring like that's so much worth it in the end. Don't be lazy and not do stuff like that, because you're just generating more code and your site slows down, and that's terrible. Okay, looks like I've got 2 paragraphs, so I guess it's generating a paragraph. So we need to change that for sure. Site home. Instead of this p tag that I used, I'll use a div. And it's still going to have that because I think we used the Kirby text thing, but now it's within there and it's just one p tag, which is good. We're going to access that. In fact, I don't really need to nest that. I'm just going to do this and margin none there. Okay, so that doesn't really do much. I think I didn't even need to do that then. So I guess this guy's just pushing down tremendously with margin. Or is it the line height? There we go. Let's see how that looks compared to our design. This is a little more underneath. So it does have margin. There we go. So that's essentially what we want. The contact button could probably come down. And what did I call that? Nothing. So, let's do, I don't like using margin top, but I will in this case. Just kind of want to line it up with our heading and stuff, something like that. Okay, so what we need to do that I just noticed is our buttons kind of suck on hover. I think color should definitely be white. We have that set elsewhere that it shouldn't be. There we go. Okay, so now we can move on to these. I think there's a little more space between here, so I might add that. Actually, I'll probably do it to this. One rim. Maybe a little more. Looks good. Okay, and these have more padding between them, so that's kind of a concern. I think I can target that though with different settings for padding. So okay, that's inside. Fix this so it needs to be like that, kind of. Then we got a little trailing thing on the end, so I guess in last of type kind of throws it off though, because what if we just did this? Well, let's do that and do 0. It goes back to the beginning, but then if we do in first of type, margin left, that's not going to work. because there's like 6 of them. That doesn't make sense. So let's leave that, I think, for now. I might have to just deal with it. Or scooch this over just a tad so the process loop left is like, what do I do? 1 rem. Yeah. All right, we're getting there. The box shadow be 000 RGBA, black, and like really light. We want this kind of large, but not huge, like the box we used on the header. I don't know, I'm guessing here. Something like that. And I think we need to set an actual height on all these so they're uniform. Wow. Not that high, but similar. Like 300. Yeah. I don't like that. I guess that works. Suppose I could just add more padding to this to make it look like it's, you know, further inside that containing element instead of this little gap here. In fact, maybe I'll do that just to make it easier. How do we do that? What do we do? 1 rem. Like so. That works for me. Okay, so now we have all of our loops here. I think they're a little bit too wide though, so where are we at? Or too tall, I should say. And then the padding is going to vary, I think. So 1 rem on top, and I think 2 throughout. That's fine. Yeah, we're going to add that bar at the top here in a second, but I just wanted to figure that out. That looks better to me. So we'll go ahead and fix this 2 here to be 0.5. There we go. The line height inside these are a little bit smaller. The font is a little bit smaller too, so let's adjust that. 1.1 rem maybe. Yeah, and the line height like that. So then our size can definitely come down. Right there. Okay. Okay, let's work on the titles decoration there, similar to what we've done before. No pun intended. Before content is nothing. Position absolute. We're essentially just creating a box that's filled with our background color of brand primary. We could just do color. And the height is, what do we use here? Looks like very small. 2 by 50. So it's there. Now we need to position it, so we probably want to come up like 10 pixels or so. Even more. Oh yeah, like 20. That's it. Okay, and then I guess we'll add that padding back. That looks good to me. It's not, our design called for more, but I think I like that this looks uniform all the way around. Okay, and now the number. Where are we at? Intro process module before. Here we go. Something like that, I think it works. Obviously the color is not right, but we'll fix that. 6F, but the opacity is 15%. Why don't I just make it an actual color of like that? That's almost right on. Maybe do D0, D0. That's a little. We can work with that. Possibly even less. Yeah, there we go. So if our grid's nice, it should float down just like that. Awesome. A little concerning with this bit of text. It's kind of crammed. So I think I'm going to grab the P in the content here and remove the margin on it, or at least tweak it. Unless I'm missing something, it should be getting it. Margin before, margin after. Why is it? Well, I guess I could just target it as a P. Still doesn't work. I guess because it's what? Does it even have margin? No, it doesn't. Okay, so it's the title. Ah, okay. So I'm gonna leave that back. I'm gonna go back to this. Turn that off. Oh, maybe not. A little bit. Awesome. Okay. One last thing is in our design, I have it as a hover state, looks like this. So I'm going to go ahead and tweak that. And then we should be all set for this section, I think, in regards to the desktop version. So let's do this. Hover. I really don't want a cursor to be present because it really doesn't lead anywhere. So it just, I want the interactivity to be cool. So background. One could argue that I shouldn't do this because it is going to basically make someone think you can click on it. But all ease in, out, like 3 seconds. Probably slower than that. Oh God, that's not a parameter. Okay, cool. So we actually need to target process module title and give it a color of white as well. And then the same for its before dealio, background color of white. It's kind of like going in a weird way though. I kind of want it to all appear at once. Could be because it's cascading. Put this down here. No. Let's go back then. It's a little nicer with it quicker. I like that. I don't know, we could maybe like have a tooltip with a link to say, hey, contact me for more information or something kind of cool like that going on. Just so there is something interactive to do here, because otherwise it doesn't quite make sense that I'm doing this, but it looks pretty. So, yeah, we'll run with that for now. But essentially, that gets that section under the way. This kind of concerns me here. It's like, what the hell am I going to do with that? This needs to stay stuck where it's at in my mind. So I have it positioned wrong. I'm going to revisit that. Or we could go real easy and make this whole thing a background image. I don't know. Either way, it looks pretty cool still. Not there, but it will. Anyways, guys, that is that section. That went pretty smoothly, so I'm pretty pleased. Again, this is how it looks in our panel. You can change, of course, the appearance of this to be little modules as well, but it was actually more to scroll. So we're getting close to being done with the home page, and after this, we'll move to the about page and the services page, which I actually still need to design. So I'll be doing that probably behind the scenes. Once we get to it, we'll be ready to go with code. So I thank you for watching. Again, if you like or subscribe this, that would be great. That tells me you're liking this series. I'll continue on, maybe do more series and stuff like that. That'd be awesome. So I hope you enjoy it so far. And I know it's been a long way, but I hope you're following along and enjoying it. So see you in the next one.